a ground ball to third. It's fair! Fair ball! Up the left field line. Here's Cologne. And the Royals win it. The last 3 games between the Royals and the A's have been anything but boring. So, what will happen today? The final game of this series is next. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, and sometimes it's a good thing that you play baseball every day, because after being shut out last night, the Royals can bounce back today and take the series from the Oakland A's. Hi everyone, welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Joe Goldberg and Jeff Montgomery are coming up. So a very eventful first 2 games of the series. The Royals got off to a great start offensively this year. We knew that pace was not going to continue, and yet after being shut out last night, they can still take this series.
Absolutely they can. Just like that game 1 where they were able to bounce back with a tie game late. They were 12-3 in series deciders last year. They've got to be able to find a way to keep that trend rolling, because that's one of the keys to their success.
All right, let's get you back up to speed with this series, our AT&T Uverse Rewind. Here's the slide. The A's say it was a hard slide. The Royals thought it was a dirty slide.
Yep, you know, that was an unfortunate thing, but as an infielder, you've got to be aware. But the Royals were able to respond to the adversity that they've been seeing so far this year. They're bouncing back. It's interesting to see the different characters that are participating. 1 through 9, you just never know.
Royals took game 1 6-4, getting 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. And then last night, after Yordano Ventura gave up a 3-run home run to Josh Reddick, there was the payback to Brett Lawrie.
Well, the great thing that's happened with all this drama is that no player was seriously injured. Number 2, the Royals players and position guys all know that Ventura and the staff has their backs.
We should see very good pitching today. Scott Kazmir's off to a great start for the A's. And Joel and Monty will talk about the strike machine Danny Duffy when we come back.
Was a good thing, but he's been hit a lot more. And I talked with Dave Island today. He loves the fact that he's pounding that strike zone. He wants him to pitch to contact. But if he's going to pitch away to hitters, it has to be down. He was very quick to dispel. It's a small sample size. Don't get too alarmed by that batting average against Danny Duffy. Will be just fine.
And so the key for him today, down, down, down.
Down in that strike zone. Continue pitch efficiency, but pound the strike zone down.
All right, so Danny Duffy, keep on throwing strikes, keep it down. We'll keep our eye on that as Danny walking in with his catcher today, Eric Kratz. First pitch coming up from Kauffman Stadium. It's the rubber game between the A's and Royals next. And so he'll look for another win against the boys in green back here at Kauffman Stadium. Joel Goldberg alongside of Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. Just heard a bunch of boos. I don't know if it was either Moose's or it was Brett Lawrie being introduced. That stuff hopefully has been put to bed. As for Danny Duffy, Monty, as we take a look at our T-Mobile game changer, he's throwing a lot of strikes this year. Highest percentage in baseball. Good thing, bad thing, what do you make of it?
Well, it's a good thing, but he's been hit a lot more. And I talked with Dave Island today. He loves the fact that he's pounding that strike zone. He wants him to pitch to contact. But if he's going to pitch away to hitters, it has to be down. He was very quick to dispel. It's a small sample size. Don't get too alarmed by that batting average against Danny Duffy. Will be just fine.
And so the key for him today, down, down, down.
Down in that strike zone. Continue pitch efficiency, but pound the strike zone down.
All right, so Danny Duffy, keep on throwing strikes, keep it down. We'll keep our eye on that as Danny walking in with his catcher today, Eric Kratz. First pitch coming up from Kauffman Stadium. It's the rubber game between the A's and Royals next.
Chevrolet. And the forecast just seems to keep getting better. We didn't know if we were going to get the game in last night because of thunderstorms. We didn't have one drop fall during the game, and now the rain, which was supposed to start around 1 o'clock today, has now been pushed to later in the afternoon. There's Bob Melvin. His team has tied a major league record. They have shut out their opponent 5 times in the first 12 games. It ties a big league record, and the record would be all theirs if they could get another shutout today. The Royals have other plans, of course, and Bob Melvin has really made quite a few changes to his lineup today. So no Stephen Vogt, no Sam Fuld, and no Ike Davis, all left-hand batters, because the A's will be facing Danny Duffy, and we were just talking about this, or just listening to this, HUD, with Joel and Monty, and how Danny Duffy, as Kia shows us some of his numbers for this year, Danny Duffy has become a strike machine. He has walked 1 in 11 1/3 innings.
And hope that trend continues this afternoon for the rubber game. Very important for Duffy to continue the strikes. However, they have to be quality strikes. Anything that's elevated and out over that nitro zone is cookie land. And now those pitches get eaten up, believe it, by these big leaguers. So mix in the 3 pitches that he's got, the big nice little slurvy breaking ball and the changeup, and that should do the job to use that defense behind him.
Billy Butler is in there as the designated hitter, and he brings out Bob Melvin's lineup card. Exchanging lineups with Mike Jersley, Royals third base coach. Take a look at the Royals defensively today, presented by Ford, and Eric Kratz appears in just his 2nd game of the year, making his first start.
Yep, guys will get the chance to get the starts in now as they finally found a day to rest Salvador Perez. However, just because he's not in to start doesn't mean he won't get in to finish. He could be a weapon off the bench. But Kratz, fine receiver, and got some pop in that bat. Duffy could use some run support.
Another big crowd here today. And the first pitch of the game is outside for ball 1. We had over 33,000 here last night, and on Friday night over 39,000.
It's a welcomed sight, especially for the players. Players love it. Talking to a few of them before the game, they said, you know, it's playoffs in April, and that's a welcome thing.
Craig Gentry leads off. He has started this season 0 for 14. Just inside. Home plate umpire is Greg Gibson. Gentry is one of the guys who had to be restrained by his teammates when the benches cleared following Brett Lawrie being hit by Yordano Ventura. 2-2.
Anybody can be a tough guy when the umpire is standing between you.
I'm trying to figure out what that was all about last night. What was Craig Gentry so upset about?
Oh well, it's over. That drama's over. It's even.
And now 0 for 15 to begin the year as Gentry strikes out on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball from Danny Duffy.
Locate, change speeds, that's the key. You hear it all the time, but look, it's much more difficult to do than it is to say. But Duffy, he's got the stuff. That's on the outer half and out of that nitro zone.
And now Mark Canha, a Rule 5 pick. And if you've forgotten, what the Rule 5 means is that one team can draft a player from another team if he's not protected on the 40-man roster. The catch is, if you draft that player, he has to remain on the big league roster all year. And oftentimes these are players who have skills, they have ability, not quite ready to be big league players, but that's the catch. And then after this year, you can send the guy back down to the minor leagues.
In a sense, you're gambling that
Sure.
the kid's going to be good. And there's a price involved too. What's the money? What's the money figure that they got to pay to get him, or to give him back?
It's $50,000 to draft the player. If you return him, you get $25,000 back.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember Art Stewart, Royals longtime scout, Royals Hall of Famer, told me that it's a gamble worth taking because some of these guys, it's like drafting a player. So rather than paying a guy $3 million as a draft pick, you're paying $50,000. 2-2 on Canna.
So you know that there's a lot of scouting when it comes to looking for Rule 5 guys before that draft.
This guy has professional experience, right? You're not taking a guy out of high school or college hitting with an aluminum bat. He's played in pro ball for several years. More of a known commodity. Curveball strikes him out. So Duffy blows away Gentry with a fastball and then gets Canna with a curve.
Backdoor breaking ball. Stays on the side of it. You know, hitters looking for the fastball all the way, but it just sometimes it's too tough to pick up. Canna, he's been very aggressive. At least he was in game 1. He didn't play last night, but he was a little aggressive there as well. Duffy, great numbers against the A's and against Southpaws as a whole last season. There's the numbers again in 3 starts against those Athletics. Got his first big league win against them. He only gave up a 137 average to left-handed bats all last year. That's why there's all righties in there. But that changeup that he's going to use off of that fastball there is going to be an important pitch for him as he goes deeper into the game. Right now, mainly fastballs and breaking balls.
3-0 on Ben Zobrist. Hitless in this series. And going back to the series before this one, he is 0 for his last 11. Back at second base today as he was on Friday. He played in left field last night. And now Duffy puts him on with 4 straight pitches. Last chance this year, at least during the regular season, that the home crowd can show their appreciation to Billy Butler. This is Oakland's only trip to Kansas City. And Billy has hit safely in each of the A's first 12 games.
So to give Billy a parting gift, I think the Royals pitchers would like to see if they could drop an offer on him. Break up his streak. Stop it. Hard to do, though. He's hot. And remember last season, that's a pretty good spot there. Last season, remember how slowly Billy started here in that Royals uniform? He hit into a lot of double plays. Everything he was hitting was on the ground. You know, he talked about some years in his 8 years he's had slow starts, and some years he starts fast, and just happened that this year he's getting off to a good start.
And now Duffy has missed with 6 straight. So at this point last season he was hitting 170. And while it was a down year for him, he stepped up when the Royals needed him to step up. When Eric Hosmer went down with a broken hand and Royals needed an everyday first baseman, and we know that Billy wanted to be on the field, wanted to be an everyday defensive player as well as a hitter. Billy had his best month while Hosmer was out.
That was a huge pick-me-up.
2 balls, 1 strike. That 12-game hitting streak, by the way, is the longest current streak in the major leagues, and it's a record for the Oakland A's for a player in his first season with Oakland, starting out the year with a 12-game hitting streak. Now Duffy goes off speed, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, we've watched Danny Duffy mature over last season mainly as he goes from reliever back to a starter again. But it's the slide step that's been a pitch that's really helped him. He's not leaving that ball elevated now. He's able to successfully hold runners close with that movement.
Back with 97 on Butler's hands, and it's still 2-2.
Quite a gift to be able to have that kind of stuff. And really, he's not a big guy. It's a lot like Ventura, even though he did put some weight on in the offseason. Very natural, fluid movement.
Zobrist runs. The pitch is inside, and Ben Zobrist swipes second base. That is his first of the year.
Wouldn't you know it, he picked a pitch where Duffy didn't slide step, and that's an easy bag. Whenever you lift your knee up that high, you know you got over 1.3 seconds. You got a chance with a good jump, and he got that. Anything under 1.3, by the time the pitcher breaks his hands and gets the ball to the catcher, you could get thrown out.
That gets through Kratz. So 2 strikeouts followed by 2 walks, and with the stolen base and the wild pitch, the A's have runners at first and third.
Duffy, after striking out the first 2, seems to be thinking a little bit now. I think maybe the fact that Zobrist got on first base and Billy Butler was hitting, he started thinking a little bit too much. Just wants to keep the game alive, but also stay in your game. Don't come out of your game for any particular hitter.
Cody Ross picked up late by the A's after being released by Arizona. Cody Ross, 3 times in his big league career, has hit more than 20 home runs in a season. He has also been on the disabled list 8 times in his career. Duffy back in the strike zone, and it's 0-2. So you got a left-hand pitcher who is going to make a manager stack his lineup with right-hand batters, and Cody Ross in his career has done very well against lefties. Hit well to center field, but Kane is right there to make the play. So Duffy works around the pair of 2-out walks, and the A's strand 2 in the first inning. Baseball is brought to you by your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Visit your Chevy dealer today for great prices on all the new 2015 vehicles. and by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Another big crowd. In fact, today's looks bigger than last night as the Royals and A's wrap up a series. And the Royals State Farm lineup has Paulo Orlando leading off again. Alcides Escobar misses a second straight game. Eric Kratz starts for the first time. Christian Colon is back in there at short. And with the day game after the night game, the Royals again will sit Alex Gordon, and Gerard Dyson will be in the lineup, all against left-hander Scott Kazmir, who has given up 4 hits in 13 innings to begin this season.
Yep, he's been hot. You see that one home run? That's the only run he's allowed in 2 starts. So he's been good. Very smooth delivery. This guy's got a fastball that'll ride up on you. It's sneaky. 88 to 94 max. He's going to cut his fastball along with the slider, and there's a difference. The cutter breaks maybe an inch or 2. The slider will break maybe 4 or 5. It depends on the velocity of it. His best pitch, however, is his changeup, especially with the right-handed dominant lineup today that Ned's thrown out there. Only 2 lefties in the lineup. There it was there, changeup.
Zobrist brings it down in shallow right field. 1 away. The Oakland A's defensively and changes from the first 2 games of the series. Cody Ross in left field, Craig Gentry in center, and Josh Begley. Those 3 getting into a game for the first time in the series.
There's that guy Zobrist too at second base. A manager's delight to have a guy that can play anywhere.
Hit hard to the opposite field, but Cody Ross is there, and Ross just made the final out of the top of the first, lining to the outfield, but another good opposite field swing for Mike Moustakas. Well, not just Scott Kazmir, but the Oakland A's as a staff have been pitching very well. Our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard, the A's have 5 shutout wins, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But 5 shutout wins in their first 12 games. They are the first team in Major League history where all of those shutouts are wins. Down by Kane's feet. And it hit Lorenzo Cain, so he'll be on with 2 out. And that would be the 14th time a Royals batter has been plunked. Danny Duffy was at the top step and screaming out at Scott Kazmir, and home plate umpire Greg Gibson is going to decide with the rest of the umpiring crew whether this warrants a warning. But Gibson was telling Danny Duffy to get back into the dugout. I don't know how you come together here and don't issue a warning. You know, we're going to talk it over anyway.
Yeah, but you know, Kazmir, he needs to take his person and go back over there on the mound and on that. Quit walking over towards Lorenzo Cain, because you know that's just not advisable right now. It's almost like he's baiting him. He's over there looking at him. You know, just go on the other side of the field and try to keep your emotions in check here. Don't let the drama take you out of your game. Okay, he's warning him right now. Okay, there's the warning. So no manager of the 2 want their guy to be tossed this early in the game.
I believe pitching coach Dave Island was just ejected from the game. And now Ned Yost has been ejected from the game.
Don't see heated arguments like that anymore. And Ned, he's sticking up for his players. Tempers flaring early in this one, the rubber game. Okay, Greg Gibson, he told Ned not to come out, not to come out. We got it all covered, but Ned kept coming, and he threw him, and that's going to be an early shower for Ned. He'll get an ovation from the home crowd.
And now Greg Gibson goes right up to Eric Hosmer. There are times, and now Jim Joyce, the crew chief, is going to go over to the Royals dugout. There are times when trying to do damage control, crowd control, what have you, by the umpiring crew backfires. The crowd was upset that Lorenzo Cain was hit. The Royals were upset that Lorenzo Cain was hit, but I think in retrospect the best thing that could have happened here was the umpiring crew just let Lorenzo Cain go to first base and keep playing.
I don't think the Royals need woken up, but man, they did that here in the first inning early.
Well, Kansas City fans don't need to be reminded, at least on the other side of the parking lot, how big the rivalry is between these two cities. But this rivalry goes back to the baseball side as well. But it's been a while.
Hey, this is where the emotion sometimes can take over your game. Hosmer swinging at the first two pitches, and they were not even close to the strike zone. He wants to hit the ball to the freeway up there. You know, that's where you have to just calm down and try, if you can. It's not easy sometimes in an emotional game. Just try to stay within yourself, wait for your pitch, but the emotions sometimes will make you swing a little harder.
And Hosmer appeared to be fired up after Dave Island was ejected, after Ned Yost was ejected. Greg Gibson got right in Eric Hosmer's face and was either trying to calm him down or lecture him in some way for something he may have said. And the play will be to first base, and that will end the inning. So emotions are running high, and we're only into the second inning. Well, with two down and nobody on in the bottom of the first inning, and it seemed like everyone had cooled down after last night, and then Scott Kazmir's first pitch to Lorenzo Cain got him on the foot. The umpires got together to decide whether they wanted to issue a warning. They decided to issue a warning. Dave Eiland was furious that happened this early in the game. So Ned Yost came out after Dave Eiland was ejected, and before Ned even got out to Greg Gibson, he was ejected. And before this inning starts, Greg Gibson had a little chat with Danny Duffy.
Okay, similar situation last night to Jim Joyce. As Joyce, he went to Jesse Hahn, the Oakland pitcher, before the game even started, and he told Jesse Hahn, I know you pitch inside. I don't want to take away your game. That's part of your game. There's Duffy. There's an inside fastball there. But look, if you hit a guy, and I think it's intentional, I'll have to do what I have to do. But so these umpires are letting the players know well ahead of time what's going on. So if Duffy hits a guy and Gibson, the home plate umpire, thinks it was flagrant, then he'll be tossed.
Begley is out, one away. And the reason why I think the Royals are so upset is because the warning has been issued. So immediately Danny Duffy, and we hope Danny doesn't change his game, but if you have an umpire behind the plate who doesn't have good judgment and thinks that Danny hit a guy intentionally, he could be gone automatically.
Yeah, and you know that's going to tax your bullpen, or it could. Now, like Joyce said, I know you pitch inside, so if you clip a guy in the elbow, he's leaning over, you know, and it wasn't a direct hit, but you clip him, he's going to let him stay in the game.
Doesn't always work that way.
I know.
Though. Some guys don't have that kind of judgment, and there have been many pitchers who have been thrown out because they just simply missed.
Well, those umpires, when they're in their clubhouse, they all talk, and I'm sure Joyce told those other guys about what he told Hahn and Giordano, the same thing. So they all kind of are going to be as fair as they possibly can, because they know the ramification. It's going to tax the bullpen. It could ruin your whole week.
Right. But you punish the Royals for something that Scott Kazmir did.
I agree.
Intentional or otherwise. You know, we need to get carried away with what's happened in Scott Kazmir's intentions. For all intents and purposes, maybe he didn't mean to hit Lorenzo Cain, but the bottom line is you punish Danny Duffy and the Royals for something they didn't do today.
I agree, and it was a fastball, if anybody's keeping track.
2-2 on Brett Lawrie. Speaking of this emotionally charged series, 2 for 6 with an RBI. And hit by a pitch, which resulted in Giordano Ventura getting ejected last night in the 4th inning. Well, the fans love it, if anything.
Yep. And Lawrie doing exactly what you do when you punch out in a place where it's not welcoming. You don't even look in the crowd. You just put your head down and go in the dugout. See, it's going back. People are all yelling at him. He doesn't even make eye contact. That's how you handle that. I'll never forget that first big chance I was in New York City at Shea Stadium. Big rivalry, you know, Expos and the New York Mets, and it was heat in September. And I took a peek up one time. It's the first time I ever saw the entire family cursing me. Mom and dad, the kids, every one of them, and I was in shock. I was like, wow. These people in certain places, they're vicious. So just don't even look up there.
Josh Reddick has the distinction of being the only left-hand batter to face Danny Duffy today, and he had the biggest hit for Oakland last night, that 3-run home run in their 5-run 4th inning. Three and 1.
First 2 games of the series, the wind and the flags were blowing from the right field foul pole to the left. Today it's almost the opposite. Wind's kind of pushing that ball out to right.
Left center field, Lorenzo Cain is there. 3 up, 3 down. Trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda, and with Billy Butler in town and all those years as the Royals DH. We of course need to point out what Kendrys Morales has done so far. He's hit in 10 of 11 games, 5 multi-hit games, and he's at 356 and hits one on the nose again, but fading back in right field is Reddick for the first out.
Right idea for right-handed hitters facing Kazmir. And the Royals, if you want any chance to touch them all, you got to get up underneath one and go opposite field. However, you can't go to left field with some of this, as strong as some of these guys are. But Morales had the right idea. If he gets under that a little bit more, he might have a shot at it.
Omar Infante is hitting .211. And at the same time, he has had at least 1 hit in his last 8 games.
He's having much better at bats, more quality, more competitive, hitting some good line drives, and he's had some success off of Kazmir in his career. See that, 7 for 19. Like his approach, pretty simple.
Good breaking ball over the outside, 0-2. And Infante moving up to the 6th spot in the batting order today.
From his stance, see how he's moving both heels? Oh, nice.
Laurie kept it on the infield, but couldn't find it after the dive, and Infante is on with a base hit.
Infante's very comfortable at the plate, and he's been hitting the ball with more authority. That's a nice top spin. Tough play for Laurie. Either gloves it or he don't. Couldn't find it. That's a knock all the way. Top spin on it. Laurie, we all know he's energetic. He's really a good third baseman. Very quick to his left and right and coming in on balls.
So make it a 9-game hitting streak for Omar Infante. And now Eric Kratz has his first plate appearance.
You know, Kazmir, he'll come inside. He used to like to pitch inside more, but now he's working more on the outer half of the plate. He likes to bring that changeup in. A circle change taught to him by former New York Mets closer John Franco. Showed him that a long time ago. He was with the New York Mets. Johnny Franco had a really good circle change. He could throw it almost every time and you couldn't hit it. Very, very good pitch for a left-hander because they're facing mostly righties. Keep them off balance.
Two and one on Kratz. Yeah, Kazmir was a first-round pick of the Mets, but 2 years later they traded him to Tampa Bay for Victor Zambrano, not Carlos Zambrano, Victor Zambrano. And that was a deal that worked out a lot better for the Rays than it did for the Mets. Kazmir got to the big leagues when he was 19 years old. Led the American League in strikeouts 1 year for Tampa Bay, and then it seemed like in a flash, after going out to the Angels, his career looked like it was over, and he was still very young. 3-2.
Yeah, he lost it, and he had to find it. Took some time off. Then he joined the Sugarland Skeeters in Houston, because he lives down there. That was before he rejoined the Cleveland Indians to kind of get his career going, but he found himself. He got more confidence, and he learned a little bit more about pitching inside. Oh, Kratz is a little anxious.
Kazmir's first strikeout, 2 down in the second inning. So, what pitch do you sit on?
You know, you have to sit on the fastball if you can, and then with 2 strikes, you got to adjust to the others. Just keep it simple. If he threw more changeups, you could go up there, depending on how many times you faced him. That always means a lot. Hitters will come into the ballpark that day if they're in the lineup, and they'll see, what are my numbers off of this guy? Kazmir does the same thing. He'll look at guys he's faced before. He might even pull up tape if he has time. Sometimes they'll do that a day or 2 before their start. So that day they come in, they don't have to do a lot of thinking. Homework is done early for pitchers, starting pitchers, because they've got 4 days to think about it. And nowadays with the video, man, they have every angle you can get. Center field, first base dugout, third base dugout, even from the air. They have all kinds of angles to study from.
0-2 on Christian Colon. Back-to-back starts at shortstop for Colon, the former college shortstop. Hit sharply to Simeon. He'll flip to Zobrist to end the inning. At the end of 2, the Royals and A's are scoreless. Let's take a look at today's University of Kansas Hospital injury report. Chris Medlin pitched a bullpen session today. 15-game winner for the Braves 2 years ago. 25 wins, 2012, 2013 combined. Coming off of his second Tommy John surgery. And the Royals hope that he'll be ready sometime around the All-Star break, maybe a little bit before, perhaps a little bit after. Marcus Semien, Craig Gentry, and Mark Canha will dig in against Duffy in the third inning. I remember reading about Chris Medlin when the Royals faced him in Atlanta a couple of years ago in interleague play, and the scouting report on him was that he compared to Jeff Montgomery. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
What a nice compliment to Medlin.
What do you think of that, Monty?
Well, I was excited when you said that, Ryan, because I know he had some success and actually had a chance to talk with Dave Island today about his bullpen session. Dave's very excited about where he is. He's been able to repeat his delivery much more consistently. He said probably with the next couple weeks he's going to be ready to start facing hitters. So that's good news for everyone in Royals land.
Man, so soon. That's excellent. Monty, I'll tell you what. You've inspired a lot of pitchers out there and a lot of fans, and I'm thrilled to have you as a partner because I'm learning more and more about pitching all the time, buddy. Way to go. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. And one thing about Medlin, he will be facing hitters, but they will be starting out with batting practice. So I kind of look at this with Medlin as though he's at the early stage of spring training, so still a ways to go for him.
Giving the Royals some potential depth in the rotation if they need it. Especially at that point in the season when we start to get into the dog days of the year. No swing. Appeal to Marvin Hudson, the first base umpire, and Semien is on to begin the third inning.
Semien almost went. That could have went either way, but very selective, very patient. Duffy only walked 1 batter in his first 2 starts. Now all of a sudden he's got 3. Hadn't hurt him yet, but keep the ball down, use that defense, see if you can roll him into a double play.
Low to Craig Gentry. He struck out to begin the game. Duffy struck out Gentry and Canha, the first 2 batters of the game, but then Zobrist and Butler walked. Danny retired the next 4, and now the walk to Semien. 2 balls and no strikes.
Bob Melvin's offense of Oakland this year, you know, they got a whole bunch of new characters. Almost half the team is new, but this offensive lineup's pretty well balanced. He's got a couple of platoon situations, and that's where he'll use a certain guy against righties and a certain guy against lefties. He has that set up in left field and behind the plate.
Two-0 pitches popped up. Ponte backs up. He took a little glance at Semien and brings it down for the first out. Not just Danny Duffy, but the Royals pitching staff has really reduced the number of walks compared to last year, the year before that, and the year before that, our Toyota League leaders. 17 walks prior to today, fewest in the major leagues, and only 3 of those walks turned into runs. Mark Canha throw to first to drive Semien back to the bag.
And guys, regarding those walks with Danny Duffy, hate to see the 3 walks, but I thought the most important inning for Danny Duffy was that second inning, coming out after those issues or those warnings were issued, and was able to be really under control in this game.
Down and away, ball 1. Yet Duffy was rather fired up after Lorenzo Cain was hit by Kazmir's pitch. So back down in the dugout, pulling it back together and getting the A's 1-2-3 in the second inning. now 2-0 on Canha. He was 2-0 on Gentry before he popped out to second base. And now Kratz going to go out and have a word with Duffy.
Okay, Infante, he joined that little meeting there, and sometimes that's all about, okay, what pitch are you using, you know, what's the count, what fingers are you putting down. It's important for the second baseman to know that, but most of the time you know it before the game, but sometimes you don't.
Danny, to this point, has thrown more balls than he has strikes. Remember, we were talking at the top of the broadcast. He had the highest percentage of strikes, tied for the highest percentage of strikes of any pitcher in the American League, and now fallen behind 3 balls and no strikes.
Yep, I think Duffy did a good job, especially in that second inning after all that drama, of trying to harness his emotions and stuff. But obviously his tempo is not the same. He's thinking a little bit too much out there. He's taking too much time in between pitches. He really hasn't gotten comfortable with his rhythm. And an umpire comes out to you and says, look, if you hit a batter, you're going. I mean, you know, that'll affect a guy.
Right. 3-1 on Canha. Duffy struck him out with a curve in the first inning.
Zobrist ripped off a bag earlier in the game. We'll see if he sends him 3-1 here. I would doubt it, because he might strike out, swing and miss, but he missed.
4 walks and 2 1/3 innings allowed by Duffy, and now he's getting into the middle of the A's order.
It's all up to Wakamatsu now, because there's no Dave Island to give him a chat, to go out and talk to him. Wakamatsu, well qualified catcher in his day, well experienced as a manager and bench coach.
And he was a finalist for the Tampa Bay Rays managerial opening, which came down to Kevin Cash, who got the job. Don Wakamatsu and Raul Ibanez were the 3 finalists, so 2 coming from the Royals organization. Zobrist bunting foul, and down to the count, no balls, 2 strikes.
It's a great idea, and let me tell you, Zobrist runs well. He's a good bunter, and Billy Butler's on deck. You know, even if he does make an out, he's got a couple of runners in scoring position for Billy. So now he's down with 2 strikes. He most likely will try to take a shot to right field, or just put it in play.
Eric Kratz asking for time. One and two. Well, part of this is Duffy, Hud, and part of this is the A's. This is their MO, going back to the Moneyball days. Their type of a hitter is a guy that's going to be very picky with the strike zone. The A's are 3rd in the league in on base percentage this year. Typically they will make a pitcher throw strikes, and there you go, borderline pitch, and Zobrist doesn't go for it. 2-2. It has been, and it's still early, but it has appeared to be a tight strike zone. That ball did, according to the grid, dip out of the strike zone.
Yep, that's an organizational philosophy that's taught in the minors and on up. And so when these young players are in their minor league and they're constantly stressing pitch selection and plate discipline, then you can develop into a guy who is more selective.
And now from 0-2 to 3-2.
So Duffy's having a hard time finishing guys off.
Guys, and looking at a lot of the pitches that Danny Duffy has missed with today, he's missed down, below the strike zone a lot. So that's a good sign, but he's got to find a way to be more efficient. We saw that in his first 2 starts, but unfortunately he was up and out of the plate in some of those pitches.
And there's the pitch that's up, and Zobrist goes into right field. Simeon will be waved home. Orlando's throw is high. Runners trying to advance, and an out at second base. So really that worked out for the Royals. I mean, typically you miss the cutoff man and other runners advance, and that's not a good thing. I think Simeon would have scored anyway, even with a good throw, and as it turns out, the Royals still get an out.
But give Kratz some credit. He was alert and he was alive. He knew he couldn't get him, so he made the quick transfer, rocket arm, got it down there. Colon's able to apply the tag just in time. Well, that's a big out there for Duffy. But Zobrist, very selective, good at bat there for waiting for his pitch, and he got it and didn't miss it.
Fouled away by Billy Butler. Billy walked in the first inning. And in his return to Kauffman Stadium, 3 for 8 with an RBI and a run scored. One and one. .362 overall, and just a very slight dip when you put a runner in scoring position. Curveball got away from him.
Monty, how about his rhythm and his pacing and his tempo? What do you see?
Well, you can tell that he is not in his game. He doesn't have that confidence. He doesn't have that tempo you like to have when things are really clicking as a pitcher.
And now 3-1. And now up over 60 pitches, so that puts him at an average of 20 per inning. And now the Royals with Cody Ross waiting on deck. Want to go with a new count, but before Duffy issues ball 4, he backed off the rubber and Kratz went out to chat with him.
Yep, acted like he didn't want to walk him, so he talked Kratz into it. Hope it doesn't backfire on him here. So Duffy's doing a lot of thinking out there, maybe too much thinking.
Five walks in 2 2/3 innings. That brings Don Wakamatsu out of the Royals dugout. If you weren't with us in the bottom of the first inning, Dave Island was ejected. Ned Yost was ejected after Lorenzo Cain was hit by a pitch, and warnings were issued. Royals took offense to that. So the A's pitcher hits a Royals batter, but 2 Royals members of the coaching staff get ejected.
Maybe Danny Duffy wasn't comfortable on 3-1 with a runner at third throwing that little pitch out like that, because maybe he didn't feel comfortable doing that. Said, look, I'll just throw a pitch out of the zone,
but I want to pitch it, not throw it.
Right.
Cody Ross had a good swing first time up and lined out to center field. I think the A's have recognized that Danny at the moment doesn't have his curveball or his changeup, and they're ready for the fastball.
That was a great rip. You could see as Ross backed out of the plate talking to himself going, oh, that was the one. And he had a great rip on it, Duff. He's going to have to find those secondary pitches.
Kratz wanted that pitch up. 1-2 on Ross.
For as many walks as Duffy's given up early in this game, still keep your focus. Your team's in the game. You're still in this thing. No?
There's a breaking ball. Kane over from center field. So it could have been a lot worse. 4 base runners, 3 reaching on walks, and Oakland gets only 1. Oast, and I hope we're pronouncing it correctly, on your left. His brother Andrew was bitten on the foot by a copperhead snake, and Parker immediately went into action. As his Boy Scout troop's newly elected senior patrol leader, he knew precisely what to do and what not to do. By urging his brother to stay calm, keeping his foot below his heart to prevent the spread of venom, killing the snake for proper identification and treatment, Parker was able to save Andrew's life.
Oh, what a story.
I love the killing the snake part.
Love
make
it.
Sure they had the proper identification so that they get the right anti-venom.
That's a guy on top of, he's right on top of it.
I mean, you make Boy Scout videos out of stories like that, right?
That's awesome. We could get a story on National Geographic on that, or the Animal Planet.
0-2 on Dyson as he was running up to bunt. Gerard Dyson 5 years ago got his first big league hit against the A's. Simeon charges, bobbled just enough, and Dyson is safe. And Dyson will get a base hit. There is no room for error on a ground ball like that with Dyson running up the line.
Sure isn't. And the fact that Simeon knew he had to rush it, a ball went from his heel to the end of his glove, and he didn't quite get it when he wanted to. That's what speed do offensively.
Well, we had some fun on Friday night. The last time Dyson was at first and Paulo Orlando was at the plate. Orlando hit his 4th triple, getting Dyson to score from first base to put the Royals ahead, and Orlando went on to score. A reminder as you enjoy a cold one and enjoy today's game to look forward to Miller Time later on this afternoon, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Kazmir, he has a decent move to first base, but what he does is he's quick home, and that helps the catcher. Fagley today, give him a chance to throw out a runner. See how quick he is home.
0-2 on Orlando. He popped out to second base first time up. Still 0-2.
Kazmir's best pitch is his changeup, and he will throw that out of his slide step. But sometimes when a pitcher uses a slide step and uses the off-speed pitch and he tries to get the ball home quickly, he'll leave him elevated. And there he just faked a step-off move to Dyson. Bagley's a good catch and throw catcher. In his career, he's thrown out 29% of runners. That's a good average.
And Dyson saw it all the way. Gerard has not attempted a stolen base yet. Royals have stolen 9 in their first 11 games. Not running, and fouled away by Orlando.
Okay, Paulo kept his hands inside there just in case that was a changeup or something. He didn't want to roll it over into a double play. He's trying to stay to the right side of the field with that swing.
Rusty Kuntz in the same position as a runner. It's almost like he's leading off of first base and looking at Kazmir, trying to pick something up. The wind is blowing left to right, and that helped out Orlando. No wind at all, and that ball stays in play in front of the dugout suite. But Hud was telling you about that gust coming out of the northwest, and it grabbed that pop up and moved it to the roof of the dugout suite.
Again, but you know, 0-2 here. I like Paulo Orlando's approach. He still tried to shoot that changeup to the right side, keeping his hands inside.
One and two.
That's Kazmir's best pitch as far as velocity at 94. He varies his moves too. He's showing Dyson all kinds of different moves from from his stretch position. He's going high leg kick, he's shorts, he's slide stepping.
Just nicked it.
When you have a pitcher that shows you a variety of different moves home, it makes it a lot tougher to try to get that jump. Sometimes you just go first movement. The minute he picks up his foot, you take off and you don't stop. You make them make the play and try to throw him out. See how Dyson's inside the line there? See that? That's key. It's an optical illusion for the pitcher. You actually look closer to first than you really are.
Slide step. And Orlando strikes out, and that's Kazmir's second.
Kazmir doing a nice job of holding Dyson.
Mike Moustakas is 0 for 1 But another good swing to the opposite field as he lined to left in the first. Helped out Kazmir with a pitch down and away, 0-1. Kazmir doing a good job here of mixing his pitches. I mean, in theory, with Dyson at first base, even if he doesn't run, you hope that to prevent Dyson from running, he's going to use his fastball, but he's still using plenty of changeups and sliders with Dyson at first base.
Since Dyson's seen everything he's got except his step-off move, he's more comfortable. He's got a bigger lead.
Grounded out to Zobrist. Out at second. And a double play. 4-6-3. Kazmir has pitched 3 scoreless innings. Oakland leads 1-0. Royals down 1-0 to the 4th inning, and Sundays at Kauffman Stadium have something for your whole family to enjoy. Prior to every Sunday home game like today, Family Fun Day will feature face painters and balloon artists and entertaining DJ and player autographs atop the Royals dugout. And then after the game, kids under 14 can run the bases. The Skippy Fun Run. So they'll be running the bases after the game today as Duffy blocks it like a hockey goalie, keeps it close enough to him to throw to first and get Fegley. And out comes trainer Nick Kenny. We've been seeing a lot of Nick Kenny lately. Don Wakamatsu following. Ned Yost and pitching coach Dave Eiland were ejected in the bottom of the first inning. And without having to throw another pitch, Danny says he's fine. And now the boos rain down again on Brett Lawrie.
You know, I've been watching ever since the game started. Lots of times early on, a hitter will say something to the catcher, it's Eric Kratz today. And I've been watching Kratz exchange, and Kratz has not said one word to any of their hitters at all. Not even a friendly, hey, how you doing? And that happens a lot. Kratz, 6'5", he's all business, man. This is his day.
Got him over the inside.
Good firm fastball. Duffy looking good this inning so far. That's a heater framed up nicely by Kratz. Duffy, good fluid delivery from the crown seats, and from right there, Laurie, you got to go.
Good fastball over the inside to Reddick, who flied to center field in the second inning. Oh, and 2.
Guys, good to see Danny Duffy going to that fastball back on the inside part of the plate. Regardless of the warnings that were issued, he has to be able to get guys out on the inside. If he doesn't get him out, he at least has to open up the outside part of the plate. Then it allows his off-speed pitches to work better, particularly here against Reddick, the lefty.
One ball, 2 strikes. Infield plays Reddick to pull. The outfield plays him the other way. Still 1 and 2.
He's got a quick bat. And if you look at him, he's not that big in stature, but in baseball, size means nothing. It's all about the bat speed you can generate. This guy's got some pop.
And got it through the shift on the right side. Between Infante and Colon, Reddick is on with 2 outs. He had a 32 home run season, Reddick did 3 years ago.
That's a breaking ball that's up. It's hittable. Good transfer. Look at him leverage against his front side there. Hitting off of his front side, keeping it nice and stiff. Love the crown seat view. Our cameraman is sitting there, folks. You want a chance to get down and watch them pitches at ground level. Those are great seats.
John Pope down there in the first row, just on the third base side of the crown seats in the Crown Club. I tell you, that's one way to get into the Crown Club
without having to pay.
Yeah, those aren't the cheapest tickets in the ballpark. And so you know, you show up with a credential and a camera, get to sit in the very first row. I'm not sure if he's eating any crab claws off the buffet.
Well, Wakamatsu's not sure about this pickoff attempt there. It looks like he might have gotten his hand back in there. Duffy with an excellent step off move.
High strike to Simeon. Simeon walked to start the third inning and came around to score on a Zobrist base hit. That inning could have been a lot worse for Duffy. He walked 3 in the inning and allowed a base hit, and Oakland was only able to get 1. And that's hit well into left center field. Long run, Dyson, Gerard Dyson. And as he would say,
that's what speed do. Saved another Royals run. On contact, it looked like that was a gapper for sure. Oh, didn't even have to leave his feet for it. Great play.
Gerard Dyson saving a run, running into deep left center field on the drive from Marcus Semien. And on the topic of good plays in left field, cheer on All-Star and Gold Glove winner Alex Gordon on Thursdays in his fan section, Gordo Nation. Only $30. You get this limited edition Charlie Hustle brand t-shirt with a seat near Alex in left field. And the first 100 Gordo Nation ticket holders receive an Alex Gordon big head. The next one is Thursday, April 30th. You can get your tickets now at Royals.com/special events. That's a game against the Tigers on the 30th. Ned Yost was talking about the timing so far, as the Royals are wanting Alex to have a little extra rest for his right wrist, day games after night games, and all three so far have been against pretty tough left-hand pitchers.
And that's okay with Alex right now, because he'll be a lot stronger later as the season goes on. Some more good managerial strategy by Ned. Salvi getting his first rest.
One and two on Kane. He was hit by a pitch in the first inning, and that was just the beginning of a chain reaction of events. Crowd got fired up. Umpires came together. Warnings were issued. Dave Island was ejected. Ned Yost was ejected. Kazmir gets his third strikeout, one down in the fourth inning.
You do something that no other starting staff has done before in Major League Baseball history, throwing 5 shutouts in the first 2 weeks of the season. They've got some arms. Monty, what do you think about that?
Well, they have been feast or famine today. Scott Kazmir looking good, looking a lot like the Scott Kazmir we saw earlier in his career. The Royals have had great success over the last few years against him, but today not so much.
Strike to Eric Hosmer. You know, we were talking about those 5 shutouts in the first 12 games. Technically, the A's tied the major league record as they shut out the Royals last night. But when we showed you those numbers, they are the first team to win their first 5 shutouts. And you say, well, how's that possible? Well, the 1913 Phillies had 5 shutouts in the first 12 games, but one of those was a 0-0 tie.
Wow. Didn't know there were ties in baseball.
So 5 shutouts, 4 wins. The A's 5 shutouts, 5 wins, obviously. Talk about a different time, a 0-0 tie. But how about the other 4 shutouts for the Phillies that year? All 1-0 games. Ball came up and got Hosmer after he fouled it into the ground. Look at that. 44 pitches, only 7 out of the strike zone.
Well, and he's been getting some Royals to swing out of the strike zone. You can tell the Royals really want to get this crowd into the game by getting a big hit. But they're going to have to continue their focus down in the zone and look for their pitches.
Just missed with the slider. Royals have a pair of infield hits today. 2-2. Kane was hit by a pitch in the first. Infante had an infield single in the second. Dyson an infield single in the third, and those are the only base runners so far against Kazmir. And that's hit well to center field. Fading back is Gentry. The wind knocked it down. So hard hit but out. 2 down in the fourth inning. Scott Kazmir last year had a career high 15 wins, but really it was 2 different seasons for him. He was the hottest thing going in the American League in the first half, going 11-3 with a tiny ERA. And then either he tired or the league adjusted to him, or maybe a combination of both, and his earned run average in the second half was almost 5.5. But a career high 15 wins for Scott Kazmir. And as we were talking earlier, just 2 years prior to that, he was pitching in the independent league for who?
Sugarland Skeeters.
The Sugarland Skeeters.
Houston, Texas. Nice play.
Lowry throws out Morales, and that's the first 1-2-3 inning for Scott Kazmir. And avoid the lines. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Thoroughbred Ford. For great deals on all new Ford cars and trucks, visit thoroughbredford.com. Look at that crowd. Three big crowds for this Royals A's series. 39,000 plus Friday night, 33,000 plus last night. 1-0 Oakland as they bat in the 5th inning. Top of the order, Gentry, Canna, Zobrist. Danny Duffy has allowed only 2 hits in his 4 innings, but he has walked 5.
Fortunately, only giving up 1 run. Usually you walk that many. That's a good sign for trouble. But he's got such good stuff. He's able to maneuver his way out of it. The Royals really thrived in rubber games last year. They were 12-3, and that really propelled them to become the dominant team that they became last year towards the end of the season by winning those rubber games. They lost the last road series in Minnesota in the rubber game. They've got to find a way today.
Gentry down on strikes, 0 for 3 today and 0 for 17 to begin the year. And that's Duffy's 5th.
Again, coming inside, catching a part of the edge of that dish. Yes, Kratz positioning himself behind the plate, squaring himself up to the pitcher, presented that nicely to home plate umpire Greg Gibson.
Canna struck out in the 1st and walked in the 3rd and was stranded at 3rd base. Just over Cologne and into left field. Canna's on with 1 out.
Canna upright stance, got him a pitch down. Looked like it might have been a changeup. A little out in front. Cologne gave it everything he had.
Very close over at first base.
You know, the scouting report for Oakland, I'm sure before the game when they went over Duffy, they told everybody, look, he's got a good step off move, but until you actually get your initial lead and get over there and see how quick he is, it still can get you. So you want to be careful getting off the base initially with the left-handed pitcher staring you down right there, because he's going to wait for an opportune time. And they hide it well, that step off move. They don't have to be looking at first to do it. That's what part of the deception.
And it usually comes like that last throw by Duffy, where it's in transition. He's going from coming set, and then before he comes set, you're hoping that the runner extends his lead and all of his momentum is headed towards second. Runner is more prepared to react to that step off move. If Danny comes set, runner's done with his lead and he's really focusing on Duffy.
That's right. You got to take real short steps as you're getting off.
Canna runs and overslid the bag, but is able to reach back with his left hand before Infante applied a tag.
So what Oakland's doing is they're picking the pitch where Duffy lifts his leg way up, and he almost overslid that. Got back to the bag just in time. Sometimes, you know, you guess right and you have a longer to get there with that high leg kick.
It was Ben Zobrist who singled to right and drove in the A's run in the third inning, and now with the count 2 balls 1 strike, Pratt's going to go out there, make sure they're on the same page. Billy Butler is on deck. And Jason Frazier warming up in the Royals bullpen, as this will be pitch number 90 for Duffy. 93 miles an hour. 2 balls 2 strikes. Danny Duffy's fastball is averaging 93.7 miles an hour. That's the best of any starter in the major leagues. That one in 94, and it's still 2-2.
Zobrist a little tardy on that swing, tells me he might have been looking for the changeup or something off speed there. He was fighting that off.
Past Duffy and into center field. Canna will be waved home on Lorenzo Cain, and the throw is a little bit late, and Ben Zobrist for the second time today singles in a run, and Oakland takes a 2-0 lead.
Very strategic game being played by Oakland, picking their spots to steal bases. Had they not been successful there, would have been first and second. But the fact that, look at that quick swing, that ball was down. That's a really tough pitch to handle. Wasn't a mistake, it's just good hitting.
And a diving play by Moustakas from his knees, out at second, double play.
Roll them up, ham and eggs on a Sunday afternoon.
This Kansas City Royals Oakland A's series is presented by Chevrolet. Ben Zobrist has driven in runs in the 3rd and 5th innings for a 2-0 Oakland lead. And Scott Kazmir has held the Royals to 2 hits in 4 innings. Omar Infante with a 9-game hitting streak leads off. On with an infield single in the 2nd inning. Eric Kratz and Christian Colon will follow.
"13 scoreless innings now. The Royals offense sputtering around a little bit. Going back to last night's shutout. Need a little bit of rally time. There's no question the team really is missing Rios and Escobar, no doubt. But also with Gordon and Salvi getting an off day today, there's 4 players out of their lineup that they're used to having in there. Kazmir, regardless, would be tough on any of them.
That's hit well into left center field and down. Omar Infante continues to warm up. Good start for the Royals. It is the first time they've had a runner at second base. And the first extra base hit. First base hit out of the infield for the Royals today.
Nice. And that was a little backdoor breaking ball. And Infante looked like he knew it was coming. Big spacious yard here at the K. He just dropped it out there and was able to walk into second base. 4th double on the season.
And now Eric Kratz. Kratz struck out his first time. Let's go to Joe Goldberg.
Well, Ryan, talking to Eric today, and obviously this is his first start, but he says that he really is playing these games from 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Getting in there to catch bullpens, full preparation, acting like he's starting every single day, and then even along with the game, thinking along with every single pitch, trying to get in the moment.
And didn't quite get it to the right side of the mound enough to advance Infante. 1 out, Infante at second base, and doesn't seem like a big play when the final score is 5-0. But remember last night in the 3rd inning, Omar Infante hit a double, went to 3rd on an error. He was at 3rd base with nobody out, and Jesse Hahn was able to pitch around that.
Nice late stab by Kazmir, else that would have went through the middle. It's a good time for Christian Colon to get him a batting average. Oh for 8 to start the season.
Pulled on the ground, deep short. Simeon throws, even though there was no chance. So he does get his first hit. It is the 3rd infield hit for the Royals today, and they have 2 on with 1 out.
Nice play by Mark Canha. I didn't think Simeon was going to attempt to throw out Colon on that, but as a first baseman, you have to be able to see the play and come and get it if it's possibly going to get by. And now it looks like Infante's having some kind of issue over there at second base.
Where the Royals have been just blessed with good health the last 2 seasons, and starting with Alex Rios getting hit on Monday. Kenny seems to be out on the field just about every day, and Orlando Calixte will make his big league debut as a pinch runner. Man.
Yeah, just by the way he's walking, that could be a groin, but we'll keep you posted. And let's check him out here. Stopping and going back to the bag sometimes.
And now here comes Bob Melvin and his trainer.
Zobrist.
Wow. Both second basemen removed.
One play, two guys out. Could have happened though before that actual last play. Infield hit by Colon.
Eric Sogard will take over at second base. So Sogard will get some time to warm up his arm, and Orlando Calixte will get some time to stretch out his legs. 23-year-old making his big league debut as a pinch runner. Been in the Royals organization since 2010. Like many Latin American players, signed by Rene Francisco out of the Dominican Republic. Spent the last 2 seasons, Calixte did it, AA Northwest Arkansas. Good athlete, versatile, can play the infield and the outfield. Now pickoff play at second base. Not a bad throw. Thinking that Calixte on a big league diamond for the first time might have his head in the clouds, but reacted quickly. Gerard Dyson just made a good defensive play a couple of innings ago to save a run. Now trying to drive in a run. Calixte at second, Colon at first, 1 out. Dyson has an infield single today. And that goes all the way back to the backstop. And now the tying run is in scoring position with just 1 out.
Always take a little help when you can get it. Casimir. I don't think it was a cross-up. I think it's just not a very good job by Fagley to get in front of that. He tried to backhand it. Thought he could pick it. And he missed. Runners move up. Dyson, good ground ball, scores a run up the middle. Keep it away from the corners. Elevate if you can. Find a gap.
Little bloop up the left field line. Oh, foul by inches.
Crowd looking for something to cheer about today. Thought it was fair, and that tricked all the runners. Colon, he comes flying in, sliding it home, heading to the dugout, thinking that they just tied the game. And Dyson, he was heading into second base, what he thought was a double, and just missed the chalk. So now Dyson will have to catch his breath. Try to calm down again, because sometimes when you're breathing heavy at the dish, it's hard to focus and pick up that ball. But he steps right in there.
One and two. Royals had no runs on 2 infield singles in the first 4 innings. Infante doubles, had the lead because of an injury, and well, he is being tended to. Ben Zobrist, the A's second baseman, had to come out because of an injury. And then Colon with the infield single. Dyson, that'll get a runner home. Out at first, Dyson gets an RBI, so Calixte in his big league debut scores a run. It is now 2-1 with Colon at third base.
Okay, Dyson saved a run on defense with that nice running catch in the left center field gap earlier in the game, and now he picks up a ribby. All he had to do with 2 strikes is make some contact up the middle. That was nice. Welcome to the big leagues.
Paulo Orlando. Paulo is popped to second and struck out.
Paulo's a pretty good bunter. First base would be the logical choice. Now with those fastballs coming in, he might want to try to just find a hole with an inside out swing. Change-ups on the outer half are the easiest pitches to push bunt. If you pick the right time, you just kind of push one down, and with his speed, he'll knock in the run and keep the rally going.
Not going to be easy. Laurie throws just in time to get Orlando. But the Royals are on the board, getting their first run since the 8th inning on Friday. It is now 2-1 at the end of 5. Driven in by Ben Zobrist, going to the opposite field in the 3rd inning to drive in Marcus Semien. To center field in the 5th, bringing in Mark Canha, and then Gerard Dyson with a ground out, getting Orlando Calixte to the plate in his big league debut to make it 2-1 as we head to the 6th inning on what has become a mostly sunny day in Kansas City. And of course, Sundays mean voice of the Royals, Denny Matthews, joins us in the booth. Have you ever seen in your 112 years broadcasting Royals baseball,
illustrious career,
2 second basemen come out on the same play?
No.
When essentially nothing had happened on the play.
Kind of crazy, isn't it? I mean, you've seen some weird things this afternoon. How about the throw that Semien made from deep in the hole with no chance in the world to get Colon? And I said over on radio, there's Two places you should never make that throw: home and away.
Exactly. He had no business. I was surprised. That's a pocket ball. Put it in your pocket.
Yep.
So Calixte is now at shortstop, and Christian Colon shifts over to second base. And taking over on the mound is Jason Frazier. Cody Ross, Josh Fegley, and Brett Lawrie coming up in the 6th inning. Cody Ross was 0 for 2 against Danny Duffy. It wasn't Danny's best outing, and yet I couldn't help but think back to a couple of seasons ago, maybe 3 seasons ago, if Danny Duffy had an inning where he walked 3, that would have been more than a 1-run inning, and probably would have resulted in his last inning, but he was able to hang in there, go 5 walks, 5 strikeouts, and just continue to compete.
Yeah, I think damage control for a pitcher comes with experience and maturity, and you begin to work the inning the way you want it as opposed to giving in to the opponent, and that's what he's reached that point now, I think, and it served him well here this afternoon.
See if Frazier can get that fastball slider combination working.
There's the slider. So now his role has been elevated. He's a Chevy call to the bullpen with Greg Holland going down. Wade Davis is going to handle the 9th. Kelvin Herrera is going to handle the 8th. And I think in most situations with the Royals leading, we might be seeing Jason Frazier in the 7th.
Well, he's a Saluki from Southern Illinois University. The Saluki. Do you know what a Saluki is?
No.
Right?
How about
an Indian?
No.
How about some sort of dog?
You got it. Come on.
Egyptian.
Hunting dog. Yes, an Egyptian hunting dog. They look a little bit like a greyhound. I don't know how fast Frazier runs, but Salukis are quick.
Now, who helped you with that? Did you get that out of your thesaurus?
No, little birdie.
Okay. Okay.
Captain K helped me in the truck.
That is the 6th walk given up by a Royals pitcher today, and we're just beginning the top of the 6th inning. Well, this was kind of an under the radar move for the Royals last year when they got Jason Frazier from the Texas Rangers, and maybe because the Rangers weren't going anywhere, so there wasn't a lot of attention being paid to Texas. But Frazier came over and was great for the Royals in 23 games. Royals got him for a minor league pitcher at the time, Spencer Patton, and he did so well. The Royals signed him back up for this year. And now we'll see what kind of fielder he is. Right on target to Colon. Hard slide at second base by Cody Ross. And the Royals turn their 2nd double play in the last 2 innings.
And the experience of Frazier making that double play. Notice one thing that a less experienced young pitcher might do: rush the play. He did not. Took his time, made the play, slowed it down. End result, double play.
Yep. And since we looked at that slide right there, and Lawrie's coming to the plate, can we get your take on the slide on Friday night? And then last night he had a chance to go into the base, and he went in a little differently, Denny. We'll show it to you here in just a minute. Ryan and I had our chance to share our thoughts. Tester.
Calixte, first chance on defense. Showing off some pretty good range and a strong arm, but Brett Lawrie is in there with an infield single.
Hey, take a look at his first big league attempt here, which was a dandy. Showing off some good range and a nice throwing arm. I mean, just barely missed it. Hey, we'll show you the slides here. Friday night, we'll show you what caused all the problems, but if you'll watch, Lawrie, he had his eyes focused on Escobar.
Yeah, and Escobar did not have his eyes focused on Lawrie. How often do you see a shortstop take the throw from the third baseman and he's completely blind. Shortstop usually is going across the bag. You can always see the runner. The only thing I didn't like about Laurie's slide was his left foot was a little bit high, but I mean, that's really splitting hairs in a sense. I thought it was a good hard slide, maybe slightly too aggressive, but I really didn't have a big problem with it.
Really?
Okay. How about the slide last night? The slide last night, if he slides this way on Friday night, he's safe and there's no problems, and Escobar stays in the game, and they continue the inning. Let's show that slide last night as he goes right into the, and look at that. Another hit against the shift by Reddick. Last night's slide, if he does this Friday night, there's no issues. Watch how he goes directly into the base.
Yeah, Colon is already set on the bag, almost like a first baseman, taking the throw. The problem that Escobar had the other night was he had his back turned completely to the oncoming runner. Normally the shortstop can avoid the oncoming runner because they can see him coming.
But we have to remember it was a highly unusual play. The ball kicked off Herrera's foot.
Right.
Moose caught it in the hole, and as a result, the base runner can see that in front of him. It's not going to be a double play. So he essentially went after Escobar, thinking that he was trying to break up too when he didn't have to.
Well, I think the play, because it was unusual. How often do you see a 1-5-6 force out? I mean, it's an unusual play for a base runner and all the guys that were involved in making the play defensively. So everything was kind of out of whack on the play, and it was just one of those unfortunate plays, and I don't think Lowry was completely not to blame, but there were extenuating circumstances, I think.
Well, what Hud and I talked about, Denny, was that, and I think Laurie has been pretty sincere since, that he was not trying to hurt Alcides Escobar, and yet it was a reckless slide. That's the best word I've heard so far. It was reckless. I mean, he's a professional athlete. He has control of his body. There's no way that he accidentally went high spikes right into Escobar's leg when there was no chance to turn a double play. So how are you breaking up a double play if there's no chance for a double play? So he wasn't trying to hurt him,
right?
And yet at the same time, he proved last night that he can go from point A to point B right into the bag. He is capable of doing that.
Escobar was not ready for that play.
No.
For contact.
Neither was Laurie.
Yeah, he wasn't ready for that type of slide because Escobar was rounding the base. He was over on the second base side. He was expecting a double play or to field that ball even.
Marcus Semien, boy, he's hit one ball hard after another in this series, and lines out to Orlando in right field. So Frazier gets around a walk and a couple of singles. Still 2-1 Oakland.
We're going to take another look at that disputed play on game 1 of the series. Here you go, off the foot to the third baseman Moustakas, and now the throw from third to short. The left leg is a little bit too high in my opinion, guys, and it's just such an unusual play. 1-5-6. You don't practice that in spring training. And Escobar, his entire positioning at second base was out of the norm for a shortstop, and that's the slide was a bit of the problem. His position was a bit of the problem. The way the play unfolded was a problem. So I don't know. I think that's it. We can let it rest for the remainder of the year.
Sounds good. Canna underhands to Kazmir to get Mike Moustakas. One down in the bottom of the 6th inning, which is our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Alan Wicks from Butler, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Alan wins $800. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Alan Wicks will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
How about we mention the Royals defense, which got them out of 2 straight innings, and this could be a 4 or 5-1 game right now if it weren't for the catch by Dyson, and then in the 3rd inning when they were able to escape, helping Danny Duffy with not only the tremendous play by Dyson, but then just
the diving double play started by Mike Moustakas.
Yep.
All right, you're the perfect guy to ask this question, and the sample size isn't big enough. Best defensive Royals team you've seen, or where does it rank among the 8 position players on the field?
Well, the 76, 77, 78 teams were as good defensively, but the difference is, and I'm going back basically to last year because that gives us the full look at the season. I think that last year's team was as good as those teams, but a little more spectacular. You saw more spectacular plays because there was a little bit more speed, especially in the outfield last year than in the 70s. I think that's the only difference, but they were equally fundamentally sound, both very good.
And before 2013, no Royals team ever had 3 Gold Glove winners in one year. Now the Royals have done it in back-to-back years. Sogard, shading his eyes from the sun, takes care of Lorenzo Cain. Now 2 down in the 6th inning. There's a couple of plays today that Denny was talking about.
Yeah, here's Dyson's play. Long run, and he got there, as he usually does. And now this spectacular diving stop. Good throw to second. That's the tough part of that play, is the third baseman diving and getting the ball to the second baseman, and they like to have it right around the letters to be able to make the turn. So those are 2 tremendous plays.
Yeah, and having the opportunity to sit this high up, you can see the routes the outfielders take. When you go on a direct line to that ball from starting position to the ball, you're giving yourself every bit of chance to make that play. You don't see any curving or any rounding or any hesitation in their route. Dyson took a direct turn and went exactly to the point where he made the catch. That was special. Didn't have to leave his feet.
We were talking in radio, would Gordon have made the play that Dyson did? And I said I would never want to say that Alex would not have made that play.
Well, he's not as fast as Dyson is,
right,
but that route efficiency that Hud's talking about.
Yep.
That was well worded, by the way.
Ooh. That's hit well into center field. Eric Hosmer, who was already lined out to center field, is on with 2 down. I remember, Denny, you and I were together and we saw Carlos Beltran in center field, who was an excellent center fielder. And yet, because of his speed and athleticism, he could get away with, an initial poor read and could make up for it. David DeJesus comes on the scene after Beltran was traded to the Astros, and DeJesus was not the athlete, didn't have the speed that Beltran did, but he made the same plays because he was so much more efficient with his routes. His point A to point B may have been better than Beltran's was.
Yeah, I would agree.
Good analysis, Denny.
Thank you.
Morales grounds out to Laurie. Scott Kazmir has pitched 19 innings this year and has allowed 2 runs as the A's lead 2-1 to the 7th inning. And we take a look at our sprint cut of the game. Danny Duffy struck out 5 today, and much to the delight of the 30,000 plus Royals fans here today, 2 of his strikeouts against Brett Laurie. That was a strikeout in the 4th. Duffy went 5 and allowed the 2 Oakland runs. Jason Frazier just pitched a scoreless 6th, and now Ryan Madsen will get the top of the order in the 7th. So the Royals make a move. The A's make a move. Craig Gentry, a right-hand hitter who was leading off and playing center, is out, and Sam Fuld, who started the first 2 games in center field, he will pinch hit. Fuld 0 for 8 in this series. He does have a walk and a run scored, and Madsen at 95 is in with strike 1.
Yeah, Fuld is 0 for the series. Gentry is 0 for the year. And what a terrible time, Hud, to be in an 0 for 17 slump. If you're 0 for 17 in the middle of August, it's not quite as noticeable. At the start of the year, you got that big 0 under your hit total. It's, boy, pressure, pressure, pressure.
Yep. Mike Moustakas can sympathize with him.
Yep. 0 for 21 last year, Moustakas, before he got his first hit. There's no better feeling, is there, Hud, to get a base hit in your first hit of the season, just to get it out of the way?
Oh, it's great. Was his first hit a home run to the opposite field? Moose's?
I don't think so. Oh, you mean this year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
last year,
greatest.
ground ball base hit, but yeah, you're right. First time in his career.
Wow, you could tell Moose is a different guy.
Fuld down on strikes, so he's still hitless in the series. And a good start for Madsen.
You got that kind of fastball, you get away with it up there, and that's a plus fastball. But then he's got that dangerous changeup, Denny. We haven't really had a chance to see that a whole lot, but Madsen, he has one of the best changeups in baseball.
Yeah, and you're right about the fastball up, especially to a left-handed batter. There aren't many lefties that are going to get on that fastball in that spot.
Mark Canha takes ball 1. He's been on twice with a walk and a single. And right now, the run scored that he produced in the 5th inning is the difference in the game.
Yeah, his stolen base is the game, and he's not a stolen base guy. Zobrist with both RBIs, but now he's gone.
Yeah, the same moment back in the Royals half of the 5th inning, right in the middle of the inning, Omar Infante was at second base, and in the middle of the inning, after hitting a double, he had to come out with an injury. And while they were checking on Infante, the A's trainers came out and checked on Zobrist, and he came out of the game.
Second base is a dangerous position, you guys know that.
Today, at least, it is. There's the changeup. Canna wasn't able to hold. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We were telling the story in Minnesota about how Ryan Madsen has his father who wouldn't allow him to throw a curveball when he was 9 years old, and a Little League teammate's grandfather who taught him the changeup at age 9. He has them to thank for a long major league career.
Well, if you're 8 or 9 years old and you're a pitcher, you don't need a curveball or a slider. If you throw at age 8 a fastball and a changeup in good spots, I think you're going to get most of the kids in your neighborhood out.
I think so. Colon diving to his feet, throws out Canna, and a nice little play there by Hosmer, Hud.
Like how he's
shifting of the feet. Yeah,
better believe it, man. He's got great footwork. There's no doubt about it. Hosmer has extreme skills at first base, but Colon playing him a little bit up the middle. He's able to time it, got to his feet quickly, but watch Hosmer at first base. Doing a little 1-2, reading the throw. You got to read that throw, and then you're able to use either foot on that bag. But Hosmer, not only does he have great feet, but he's got soft hands and the ability to throw.
We were talking about Royal center fielders of the past and how good the Royals have had it with regard to defense in center field. The Royals through the years have also been blessed by very, very good first basemen. You go all the way back to John Mayberry, who was superb. Wally Joyner, to my mind, is still the best defensive first baseman the Royals have ever had. And I think Hosmer's getting there pretty quickly. Wally Joyner was so smooth, and he had the best throwing arm of any first baseman I've ever seen. And he never, ever rushed a play. Never rushed to throw to any base. Never rushed the play. Always in control. He was really fun to watch. And Hosmer is getting right there with Wally Joyner.
Sogard toward the right field corner. No play for Orlando, and Sogard will end up at second base with 2 down.
So once again, Royals defense prevents a run. If Colon doesn't make the play, they've got a runner on, and he could score on that play.
You don't see too many guys able to barrel up that changeup, but that was out over the middle of the plate. Down, good stroke. I could tell there was no chance for Paulo in that one because the wind has already taken the ball that way. Good placement, 2 outs.
And you can be careful with Billy here with first base open.
Remember, Billy's looking to keep his hitting streak alive in the beginning of the season. So far, he's 0 for a couple of walks.
Madsen got one over the outside. A 12-game hitting streak for Billy. An A's record for a new player to begin a season. Kind of a complicated team record, but yeah. Billy is the record holder.
Well, you've only got one shot at that record.
That's right. He can't come back next year and try again.
No, it's not allowed. You know, guys, I always thought that when Billy is really swinging well, he can identify a pitch out of the pitcher's hand about as quick as anybody. Just very good pitch recognition very quickly. And that includes a changeup if Madsen chooses to go that route, but now the pitcher has the advantage in the count.
Chopped out to Calixte. And that's the inning. Ryan Madsen has a scoreless top of the 7th. Denny, thank you.
You're welcome, guys.
I'll see you on radio tomorrow.
Good deal. I'll be there.
Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. By Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. And by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball with the official partner of Major League Baseball. Enter promo code BROYAL for free entry. 2-1 A's. Before we start the bottom of the 7th inning, let's go to Joel.
All right, Ryan Panera will take us around the league as we see some of the scores. Yesterday, the White Sox had Detroit's number. Flip it around today. Minnesota close to beating Cleveland, who had dropped to 4-7. Yankees beating Tampa Bay, and the Mets over Miami. Let's head to Detroit for our Mazda game break. This is one of 2 home runs on the day for Yoenis Cespedes, the former Oakland Athletic. This one a grand slam. Jose Quintana, 4 innings, 10 hits, 9 runs allowed. Meanwhile, Shane Green, new to the Detroit rotation, he is now 3-0 with a 0.39 ERA, and the White Sox are 4-7. The Tigers 10-2, guys.
Wow. So 2 guys that had no role whatsoever in the Tigers winning 4 straight division titles, playing big roles in the first 2 weeks this year.
Sure are.
Orlando Calixte, 452 minor league games over 6 years. And we mentioned that in addition to playing second base, third base, and shortstop, the Royals can also use him in the outfield. His first major league at bat. And coming up in a big spot, the Royals are down to their last 9 outs and down by 1 against Kazmir.
Can we see another triple for a guy's first hit in the big leagues?
Irving Falou 3 years ago. Paulo Orlando this year.
That swing looked pretty long. Looked like he wanted to do some damage.
Ooh, very close. 1 ball, 2 strikes. (5'11", 180 pounds, Orlando Calixte. The pitch stayed up. Simeon throws him out, 1 away. 23 years old, Orlando Calixte. Second largest crowd of this 3-game series today. Over 36,000. 39,000 Friday, 33,000 last night, and 36,755 today.
They're waiting for something big to happen here. A close game, 2-1. Scott Kazmir doing a heck of a job. Following up his last 2 starts, he's only given up 2 runs, and now in 3 starts. He's been dominant. Changing speeds, good fastballs, breaking ball looked good, but that changeup is as advertised.
And look at that pitch count.
Kratz doing what he can to do. I mean, it's his first start of the year. Pitchers are a little bit ahead of his offense. He hadn't seen any live pitching outside of what he might see in batting practice and maybe a simulated game here or there, but he's looking to turn and burn on a mistake.
Kratz asking if he swung at a strike. 2 down. That is the 4th strikeout for Kazmir.
Bagley, nice job of keeping it in his glove and off the ground.
Down and away to Christian Colon, 1 for 2 with an infield single. You wouldn't know it today, but Kazmir, for the most part, has had a tough time against the Royals over his career with the Rays, the Angels, and the A's. Shallow left center field. Sam Fuld into a dive. Comes up a little bit short. And Colon has his 2nd hit. He's on with 2 outs.
That wind placed that ball down just in time. Got it off the end of the bat and was able to guide it in there for a knock. And guess who's on deck?
Sal getting his first game off from the starting lineup. He was 3 for 8 in the first 2 games. Game 1 on Friday night, Sal drove in a run in the 3rd inning, and then it was his single which started the 2-run rally in the bottom of the 8th. Dyson running for him.
Kind of feeling we might see Salvi at the end of this one. Hasn't done too badly in that pinch hit role in his career. 3 for 6 with a pair of doubles.
Going after the first pitch, 0-1.
That's exactly what you want to do off the bench. Now, whether he missed that pitch by a mile or not, he's gauged his swing against Kazmir's pitch. He's in the game.
He's got a home run against Kazmir in the past. Great pitch. 0-2. Blocked by Fegley. That keeps Colon at first base. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Remember to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com, and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Just a few raindrops begin to fall. Kazmir strikes out Salvador Perez. A 5 strikeout, 1 run, 7-inning performance so far for Scott Kazmir. The official daily partner of MLB. Enter promo code BROYAL for free entry. DraftKings. So Alex Gordon and Salvador Perez supposed to get the day off today, but of course Ned Yost always says they are available and they are needed today. Alex Gordon takes over in left as Salvador Perez hit for Gerard Dyson, who was in left field. Sal back at the plate. Kelvin Herrera is on the mound. The Royals' only bench player at the moment is Alcides Escobar. Danny Duffy went 5 and allowed the 2 runs. Jason Frazier pitched the 6th. Ryan Madsen the 7th. And it'll be Ike Davis hitting for Cody Ross. So Davis comes off the bench. Melvin going with a left-hand bat over the right-hand bat against Herrera. Ike Davis has swung the bat well in the series. He has an 8-game hitting streak. In this series, 3 out of 7 with a home run.
Ooh, watch out over there.
Little late.
Yep, he was way tardy that first swing he took, and that one there, he's kind of having a laugh at himself, saying, "Really? Tune that bat up at 100 mile an hour. Great changeup to go with it."
One and 2. The A's got their first run in the 3rd inning. Ben Zobrist drove in Marcus Semien. Zobrist drove in another run in the 5th, getting Cannon to the plate. And Zobrist had to leave the game with left knee soreness. Royals got their run in the bottom of the 5th on Dyson's RBI ground out. I don't think we've had any word on Omar Infante. Just like Ben Zobrist had to leave the game, they both left at the same time in the middle of the bottom of the 5th inning, with Infante the runner at second base and Zobrist playing second base. Broken bat, throw the barrel at the ball, ground ball to Calixte, and Davis is out.
Change up down low. Bat shattered because he hit it off the end of the bat. Sometimes that happens.
Josh Phegley is 0 for 3. One of his outs, he had a sharp one-hopper back to Danny Duffy and appeared to hit Danny on the leg, but Danny stayed in to finish that inning and the next. And now Herrera over to Hosmer, 2 down. Craft and Draft featuring Boulevard is the new place to be here at Kauffman Stadium. Now open on the loge level, this unique space offers fans an open air climate controlled destination with over 75 beer varieties, gastro pub fare, and a custom pizza bar. The venue is open to any ticket holder, and select single, season, and group tickets are available. So next time you're out here, going out to Craft and Draft, the location of the old Stadium Club, the original location of the then Royals Stadium Club. Brett Lawrie takes inside, ball 1. Fans don't have a problem with that.
That ball ran in on him at 100.
Now, the Royals are not only running out of pitchers, they are running out of coaches. When a warning has been issued, the pitcher and the manager are both ejected, and right now the acting manager is Don Wakamatsu.
Not sure where that location was as far as the height goes, but that's pretty dangerous at 100 miles an hour. The first pitch was pretty in tight. Wasn't expecting anything, but then the next pitch, Herrera let it go. Let's see where it went. Ooh, man. He was bracing for that, and at 100, that'll do some damage. Laurie's very fortunate that ball missed him.
In case you're wondering, and I know you are, the Royals and A's will play again in Oakland for a weekend series at the end of June.
So Jim Joyce looks like he threw out Escobar. If he did, that's their last player.
Now, something did happen today. I would imagine the Royals believe that all of this tension began with the slide by Lawrie on Friday night. Don Wakamatsu just got thrown out for the second time in this game. Is that possible?
He's getting his money's worth.
It's an automatic ejection as far as I remember, if a warning has been issued, but Walk wasn't going to go to the showers without sharing a piece of his mind. So again, the Royals, their fans believe that all of this began with Brett Lawrie's slide. Intent notwithstanding, the slide was what it is. And then Lawrie was hit yesterday, but then in the first inning today, things were ignited again when Lorenzo Cain came to the plate with 2 outs and nobody on base, and Scott Kazmir, who's had pinpoint control today, hit Cain on the foot with the first pitch of that plate appearance. And then that's when the warnings were issued, which resulted in Herrera being automatically ejected when his throw sailed behind Brett Lawrie. So another pitching change. Franklin Morales comes on with 2 outs and nobody on in the 8th. A pitch a little bit inside from Kelvin Herrera, followed by a pitch that sailed behind Brett Lawrie. Herrera with a warning already in place, ejected by home plate umpire Greg Gibson. And then again, the emotions running high. Royals side yelling at the A's side and vice versa. And another long delay to clear all that up. Don Wakamatsu, who was acting manager after Ned Yost and Dave Island were ejected back in the first inning. And by my count, I know the manager is ejected when a warning has been issued. Does that also apply to the acting manager? So Don Wakamatsu should have been automatically ejected, but then he got into it with Jim Joyce and got ejected again. Don Wakamatsu setting a major league record for getting ejected twice in one game.
Yeah, he did.
And we think Alcides Escobar was ejected by Jim Joyce, so that means the Royals bench is empty. And now Franklin Morales, he inherits a 2-ball no strike count against Brett Lawrie.
Brett Lawrie's extremely fortunate that that ball didn't hit his ribs, because at 100 miles an hour that would really hurt him. So he's fortunate.
Colon looking up into the sun brings it down to get Brett Lawrie. Well, the fans are into it. Royals are down to their last 6 outs, trailing 2-1. April 19th, 2015, proving once again you can't beat fun at the old ballpark.
Call it what you want. It's really passionate filled fans here, that's for sure, but trying to get behind their team. They got 2 more shots at Kazmir, who's got a very low pitch count. Been efficient all day long. He's been mowing them down. Next pitch will be 90.
Orlando, Moustakas, and Kane.
Pressure Kazmir some way, somehow, as Dale Swaim now, who's got managerial experience with the Cubs and the Brewers, is now the skipper to finish the game.
2-1 on Paulo Orlando. Let's see, by my count, the Royals still have Rusty Kuntz, Dale Swaim, Mike Jerschele, Pedro Grifol, and Doug Henry.
There you go. I think they got enough to finish.
Two balls, 2 strikes. There's Pedro. So he takes over as bench coach. Dale Swaim now acting manager, we assume. Royals have had very few opportunities today against Scott Kazmir. They have left 5 on base in 7 innings. Kazmir has not walked anybody. He has hit a batter, and that's kind of what reignited everything today, is when Lorenzo Cain was hit on a first pitch of a plate appearance on the foot. With no walks, 5 strikeouts. And now Scott Kazmir has pitched 20 innings this year, and he's allowed 2 runs. The wind will help push that out of play.
Even though the Royals offense is not at full strength in today's game. I had a chance to chat with the catcher, starting catcher of the first and second game of the Oakland A's, Stephen Vogt, who was 5 for 8 in those 2 games, 2 doubles and 2 homers. He got the day off today. And Stephen Vogt, I said, Stephen, what's different about the Royals this year than last year? And he said, well, kind of what Mike Scioscia said, they're deeper. They have a little bit more depth in their lineup. They're stronger. He said, but they grind out at bats. They have speed. There are no breaks in their lineup. We don't know whether the next pitch is going to go out of the yard or if it's going to be a chopper over the pitcher's head. He said, you never know what their offense is going to do. See right here, it's a good example. Paulo Orlando, he's grinding it out. He said that after catching the last 2 games against the Royals, he went home mentally exhausted because every hitter in that lineup can do something. So that spoke volumes about the Royals offense from a guy who competed against them last year on the Oakland A's.
And Orlando takes that first walk given up by Kazmir. And we don't say this very often in the game today, but this is the 4th time through the order for the Royals against Kazmir. So if they've learned anything, if they've made any adjustments, now's the time.
That's a wonderful plate appearance there by a guy, like you said, who's had some at bats and seen him, but he was able to get on base. That's what they need. Moose, first couple of times through, he hit a nice first pitch fastball, first time up to left field. Wants to not try to do it all himself. Use the whole field if he gives you a pitch to hit.
That was more, looked like bunting for a base hit than a sacrifice. The A's don't have the extreme shift on Moustakas, but Laurie was deep enough and shifted to the right enough that If Moustakas got that bunt down, he had a very good chance of reaching. Now Laurie adjusts. Now this time swinging and had a pretty good rip. No balls, 2 strikes.
Looks like he had a decent pitch.
Scott Kazmir before today had lost his previous 4 starts against the Royals. He is just 4-7 against KC. Pitching a gem today so far. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now at 100 pitches. At one point today, Kazmir was at 44 pitches, 37 strikes. Now the Royals are having longer plate appearances against him. They finally get their first walk to begin this inning. Moustakas fouls it away, got a pitch up.
Okay, now there's a couple of little holes out there. There's a couple up the middle. There's a few here. You know, Moose is going to be looking to spray that ball around and get in that hole and maybe go get Orlando to third base.
Grounded, diving stop by Sogard, but Orlando gets to second base. So Mike Moustakas avoiding the strikeout, putting the ball in play. Wasn't best case scenario. The Royals would love to have first and third and nobody out, but Orlando's at second, and that looks like the end of the road for Scott Kazmir.
Yeah, nice at bat by Moose. He tried. We almost talked him into that base hit, but doing the job nonetheless. Getting the tying run into second base. Bob Melvin going out and talking to the 9-year veteran Scott Kazmir, who's just been dealing all day. Yep, he's going to his other lefty. Kazmir's done.
And it'll be Eric O'Flaherty. Royals drive Scott Kazmir out of the game with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th inning. Bringing the lumber, presented by Yellowwood. Well, the Royals had a tough time with the lumber against Kazmir. And so he comes out. Eric O'Flaherty comes in. Bob Melvin looked like he gave Kazmir the opportunity to talk himself into the game. And most managers, when a pitcher performs as well as Kazmir did today, doesn't want to put them in position where they could lose the game. And Lorenzo Cain is certainly capable of driving the ball out of the ballpark. Eric Hosmer on deck the same. Tying run at second. O'Flaherty pitched in the game on Friday in the Royals 6-4 win. He gave up 2 hits, and one of those hits was off the bat of Lorenzo Cain.
89-94 with his fastball. He'll cut it and sink it. He's got a slider and a changeup to righties.
Hit well into left center field, and it will be down. Lorenzo Cain ties the game. And now he's the go-ahead run at second base with 1 down.
Bob Melvin electing to go to O'Flaherty, and I thought that ball was going to get knocked down by that wind and caught, but Lorenzo Cain put a charge into it. There's your number 3 hitter fastball down at 92, and he roped it. A blue darter over the left fielder's head against a stiff wind. Paulo ends up scoring, and the crowd now is back in the game.
And before the inning, Bob Melvin also made the move to put Ike Davis at first base, who is a good fielding first baseman, but that moved Mark Canha to the outfield. And Canha, and maybe it was the wind, who knows, but he never looked comfortable after taking his first step trying to run that ball down.
No, and just, he gave it all he had. That's all you can ask him.
And now Cain going to third. He is in there.
The Oakland A's have seen this act before. Got a good jump early. Laurie doing a nice job of trying to block that bag with his foot. Infield's drawn in.
1 ball, 1 strike. Infield in halfway. Two balls, 1 strike.
And you know Hosmer wants to deliver here, but he's got Kendrys Morales in back of him.
Talking about the A's being used to this. Remember, the Royals had 7 stolen bases in that wild card game last year. Probably ball 3. 2-2 on Hosmer. Hosmer reached on a fielder's choice against O'Flaherty in game 1. He is just 0 for 2 against this pitcher. 3-2. They are clearly trying to get Hosmer to chase something down and away.
That's right, and Fagley doing a nice job now keeping that ball exactly where he wants to keep it, in front of him. And I don't think he wants to throw Hosmer anything good here. He wants to set up a possible double play. Hosmer's got to know that. There you go. Take the walk. And that's a smart pitch, because you got Morales from the right side, and now they're going to go back to a double play depth in that infield with 1 out. O'Flaherty did a really good job of not throwing anything too good to Hosmer. Now Morales wants to be able to try to stay inside of the baseball with his hands. Try not to roll over on anything, as you'll hit a ground ball to Laurie and Simeon. Those 2 guys on the left side have been airtight so far in this 3-game series.
Pretty balanced, both sides of the plate in his career. But the A's clearly want him to bat right-handed. Nobody warming up behind O'Flaherty.
That's the rollover swing that they want Morales to use. Went foul.
And Kendrys might really have to work to get something to hit here, because you go from him, an accomplished major league hitter, to Orlando Calixte, who is waiting on deck. And if Calixte comes up in this inning, it'll be just his second major league at bat. Ooh, I'd like to have that one back. No balls, 2 strikes. And you see in Kendrys' face that he wanted that one back, and he's done well against O'Flaherty. He had an infield single in game 1, and that makes him 3 for 4 with a home run. Blocked by Fegley. We've said that a few times in this inning. No space whatsoever for that ball to get through Fegley and go to the screen with Kane at third base. Blocked again, 2-2.
Yep. Morales knows with 2 strikes exactly what O'Flaherty's going to try and get him to do. Swing at something out of the zone for a strikeout. Morales looks pretty patient.
Just got a piece of it.
I guarantee you, O'Flaherty or catcher Fegley, either one have looked on deck to see who's there. They know a rookie sitting in that on deck circle. So look at where this pitch is. That's almost a half a foot outside. Morales, he wants to do something badly, but don't hit into a double play here on O'Flaherty's pitch. Be ready.
Full count. Orlando Calixte waiting on deck. Hosmer runs, and it's swung on, hit to deep center field. Fold on the run, and it's off the wall. And with Hosmer running, this could be 2. It is Kendrys Morales. Drives in 2 in a 3-run 8th inning.
You can't give Morales a pitch like that with the rookie on deck. That ball hit off the 410 sign. The wind knocked it down, but I'm going to tell you what, he tried to sneak a piece of cheese by Morales. Not going to happen.
And now ball 1-2. Orlando Calixte.
I can't believe they laid him a cookie right there. You hit a ball that far in this kind of wind, that was a crosswind at 20 miles an hour if you check those flags. And at the last minute, I saw that ball just take a right as it hit that wind, and it took a right turn big time. Else that would have been way out of the ballpark.
Calixte out toward Laurie. That's a nice swipe grab. Calixte's out, 2 down. So Alex Gordon will hit for the first time. Alex grounded out sharply to second against O'Flaherty in game one. O'Flaherty in with a strike. And that's Alex's only career at bat against the A's lefty.
Boy, get Kazmir out of there where he was just dealing. I mean, he was mowing Royals down all day. Excellent pitch efficiency by the veteran left-hander. And that's sometimes in offense, that's all it takes is just a different look.
Little bloop out to Simeon, and that will end the inning. Royals had 1 run in the first 7 innings. They come up with 3 in the bottom of the 8th. And with Greg Holland on the disabled list, it's Wade Davis in the top of the 9th inning. With Billy Butler back in town, the Royals' new DH, Kendrys Morales, comes up with the biggest hit of the game.
Oh man, has this been a dramatic game. O'Flaherty comes in and Kane does his little lean back line shot in the gap, scoring the tying run. Now insane Kane, better believe it. Hosmer, great at bat there. He's spit on ball 4. Now Morales on 3-2. You can't sneak a piece of cheese by a hungry rat. There is no way that ball stays in the yard, but that 20-mile-an-hour wind held it in. But the 2 runs plated was your Miller Lite play of the day.
Now Wade Davis in the 9th inning. And he'll get Josh Reddick, Marcus Simeon, and Sam Fuld. Wade already has a save this year. Strike 1-1 on Reddick.
Wow, think about this series. You know, the Royals, if they can just hold on here, they got 3 more outs to go. This will be their 6th come from behind win. Three more outs to go. This Oakland A's team, well balanced, have a nice hitting attack. One through 9, I think they're as balanced an offense as they had last season.
2-2. Wade Davis's save was in the Angels series back on the 10th. Royals didn't want to use Greg Holland in 3 straight games that early in the season. As it turns out, Holland had been bothered by that sore right chest muscle. And when he was placed on the disabled list yesterday, that Ned Yost talked about, that's when it started bothering him. Now Davis with a chance for his second save and help the Royals win this series against Oakland. On the ground to Hosmer. Davis to the bag. And he's there in time.
Hosmer is going to take anything to his right that he can get to comfortably. And why not? That's a sure out with it. We talked about his footwork, glove work, and then he leads Davis to the base for that crucial first out.
Marcus Semien had a tough time with Wade Davis. He has not faced Davis in this series. And a good hard breaking ball's in for a strike. Semien had some really good swings. And by my count, he is lined to the outfield 4 times.
Semien is ready to come into his own. Getting the everyday job, new team. He looks like he wants to own it. Ooh.
1-2.
Wade Davis does not want to disappoint. He's going to go out there and execute his 3 pitches that he has, and they're really above average pitches. Fastball, top out at 97, sometimes 98. Cutter at 93, overhand curve. It's a good one.
2-2 on Semien. Danny Duffy went 5, allowed the 2 runs, and now Frazier, Madsen, Herrera, Morales, and Davis. 2 down. And now Semien is 1 for 7 with 5 strikeouts against Davis.
Fans that waited this one out have not been disappointed whatsoever.
36,755. Second largest crowd of this 3-game series. Kendrys Morales with the big hit. 2-run double, putting the Royals in front 4-2, and now ball 1 to Sam Fuld. One strike away.
The resilient and persistent Royals continue to grind it out. At bat after at bat. Wear you down, just like Stephen Vogt, who's on deck, told us before the game. They're mentally exhausting is that offense, even not at full strength.
Still 1-2. And there's Vogt. Royals are happy to see him out of the lineup today after 5 hits, which included 2 doubles and 2 home runs in the first 2 games. And we'll do it again. Second time in this series that the Royals rallied in the 8th inning. On Friday night in a 4-4 tie, the Royals scored 2 in the 8th inning. Today, down by 1, they get 3 in the 8th inning. Sal held it out there for Greg Gibson. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Did he go? Yes. Down to first, and the Royals take the series.
Waiter, check please.
So an exciting game on Friday with that late rally. Then the Royals suffered their first shutout last night. And we're having a bad time today against Scott Kazmir. But a pitching change. Eric O'Flaherty in for Kazmir with 1-on-1 out in the